All right, what's up, guys? I'm going to be basically going over like some comments left on the last video, and yeah, I mean this is just not really a structured video, just kind of like me just going out there reading stuff, responding to it, whatever. And this was a video on what I eat in a day. Someone responded, "Wasting your black genes, dot dot dot. You ate a big bowl of seeds that inhibit nutrients from the fruits, essentially a toxic sugar bowl of gut-wrenching fiber." And then I asked, like, what does this person think that's an ideal way of eating? And the reason why I didn't like go off and like, well, that's factually what you said. It's factually incorrect. Blah blah blah. If you knew this, fiber actually helps with lifespan. Whatever. I asked a question to kind of just give me a basis of who this person is and what they think, and um, what information they have available to them about like what might be the proper way of eating. And then they respond with this: raw animal tissue is biochemically the most digestible and satiating food, and the vitamin A will promote protein synthesis more when working out. So this person believes that eating raw animal flesh is the best, most digestible food for human beings. When people who eat raw meat, whether it be by accident, almost all the time get sick. Eating raw eggs, you can increase your ability to get salmonella. And so it's just like eating like raw animal anything, we all know it's not good for you, right? And it's just a crazy thing to assume that that eating like the only like we're not carnivorous animals, right? We don't have sharp fangs or claws, right? Look at my teeth, right? Look at my teeth. Do they look like imposing? Do they look like they can rip through flesh, right? Um, there are like herbivores or like gorillas or apes who have big canines, but that's just to kind of like scare off any threats and stuff like that, and to be more intimidating, right? We have our canines, right? But these things are puny. These things are like baby teeth compared to the canines of a gorilla, and gorillas mostly eat basically like a plant-based diet, right? I didn't respond to the earlier comment about the guy talking about eating raw flesh because it's like, okay, well, this person has their information sourced from somewhere that is probably not really reliable, and I wasn't gonna try and entertain it and probably go back and forth with them, because some people can be very stuck within their own ways of thinking and might not be convinced, right? But I don't know, maybe I should have reached out and said something, because some people, if they feel like they get enough information, they can completely switch up and change things for the better. And then there was this comment thread that I thought was very interesting. This is probably going to be like the main point of the video, to be honest, but I did want to open up with that first one, so I'm just going to get right into it. A person is asking, why aren't you eating meat? This doesn't look like normal food. I couldn't eat like this. And then I asked them, what do they see as normal food? And they'll respond some good old classics like battered pork with potatoes and salad, rice and chicken, pasta with ground meat. And then they say, overall, I feel like meat should be consumed daily. And then a person responds, do you think eating someone else's corpse is more normal than eating plants, especially considering you can get everything you need from plants from plants, sorry. Animals and farms also supplement B12, which that's very true. So you're consuming a supplement B12 either way, if you're going to be consuming animals. So yeah, when it comes to like eating meat on a day-to-day basis, so what do they mention? Like pork, chicken, ground meat. Pork is, well, for me, from my like religious background, I personally like don't eat pork. But pork is also considered a carcinogen because it's a red meat, and red meats are considered, I think, like class 2 carcinogens or something like that. And then processed meat is like class 1 carcinogens. So which means basically they have a higher chance of causing cancer. So obviously it's like these things are not best to eat, especially on the day-to-day basis, right? If you want to be called like what's called like maybe a flexitarian, where maybe you eat meat every now and then, or maybe in your own home you don't buy any animal products, but then when you go out maybe you'll eat it or something like that, which is going to drastically improve your ability to not get all these diseases that can be correlated with eating high amounts of animal products. So the person responds back, dude, that's just how the world works and works since the beginning of time, food chain and stuff. I don't know why I feel pity towards chickens, pigs, cows, etc. And then another person, the same guy, responds with, because now we have the choice to not eat them, unlike before. We're pretty much outside the food chain now due to technology. Why feel pity towards dogs then? Watch some slaughterhouse videos of pigs and look at their eyes. They're absolutely terrified or just obviously sentient. I'm trying to imagine how you'd feel in that situation. And this is where like my whole ethical beliefs kind of come into when it comes to being a vegan, right? No other living being or creature has to suffer or die or be slaughtered in order to sustain me and to feed me. I truly believe that like there is no meat, there is no nutrients that's in meat that I cannot get from plant foods, right? Especially if you're going to be eating like a whole plant-based diet and then maybe with some type of supplementation of B12 or other supplements if you're worried about maybe you can't get them in, your food, right? I just think it's horrible, like, what happens within factory farms, just the mass production scale of things. And then, of course, like what's that impact that it has on the environment, right? The land that has to be rooted up in order to put these farms down. And then, of course, like the animals that are affected from that land basically being destroyed so it can be used for these like manufacturing machines of animals. And then what these animals go through basically their entire lives, right? They're bred into that type of existence. They've also been bred in certain ways so they can like make more milk or so they can grow a lot sooner. So then that way they can reach slaughtering weight a lot sooner. And then even stuff like the dairy and egg industry. So it's like, after a cow or after a chicken can no longer produce eggs or milk, what do you think they're going to do to that animal? They're going to slaughter that animal and they're going to feed it or not feed it, but they're going to sell it for low quality meat, right? So your Wendy's Whopper is probably made from like a dairy cow or something like that. And it's still just everything that's within it, right? First, when I went vegan, it was mostly for health reasons. And with the health reasons kind of connected to environmental reasons, like, oh, okay, eating this way is also more eco-friendly, right? But then I wasn't really into the ethical aspects. I kind of thought maybe it was like corny or something like that. But it's just like when you start learning more stuff and you start seeing more stuff about like what's actually happening, it just kind of shifts. It just makes a shift, right? And maybe some people, in light of this new information, don't really make that shift. Even if they might see like certain videos or stuff like that. Like if you see stuff like Earthlings and Dominion, those two films right there, which you can actually just watch on YouTube, those two films right there just show you everything that's going on. So even if, like, let's say, oh, well, what if you grow the animal up where they're happy, maybe like, let's say grass-fed animals, right, where they're not factory farmed and they're in open fields. Well, it's like the whole point of their existence is to be murdered, basically. That's the whole point of their existence. Their whole point of their existence, even if they're living well, is to grow up and to die, because they've reached a certain weight and now they have to be killed in order to be given to the people out there, right? The people who buy that meat. And me realizing that me buying meat and buying other animal products basically directly contributes to the murder of those animals, right? So me having my own money, my own hard-earned cash to buy these products to eat from is I'm basically responsible as well from, for that death, for that suffering, for that murder, right? It wouldn't be right for like, maybe to I don't know, like have a girlfriend or something, make her like the happiest woman in the world, get her whatever she wants, and then to exploit her in some way or to do something wrong or to cause harm to her because it would be beneficial for me or something like that, right? That's just wrong, right? We wouldn't do that to people, and you shouldn't do that to other living creatures, right? Especially when these beings can form relationships and they are sentient, they're aware of their existence, and they live and they eat and they breathe just like us, right? Okay, so in response to that last comment, the original commenter says eating dogs or cats. So this is like in response to that last comment where they were saying like, why care or why have empathy for dogs? And so they respond eating dogs or cats, general pet animals, that's not considered normal. And he was saying that your opinion about pigs doesn't matter because you can't convince everyone in this world to stop eating meat. Then they respond eating dogs is normal in China or even other parts of the world. Eating people even is normal in some tribes or has been normal, and whether and that it shouldn't be, right. It shouldn't be that way, and that he's aware that he can't convince everyone. But at least trying to make someone else see differently or to kind of realize these things, is something that can help them, like, realize like, hey, you know what, maybe it's not the best thing to be eating animals all the time, right? So there's many things that were normal in the past that are not considered normal at all anymore. Slavery was normal. Just mass discrimination against like other people, like we literally like massacred like an entire, well, I can't say we, me being black, but you know, like let's say Native Americans, right? Native Americans have almost been completely wiped off the map of America, right? When it came to early colonialization, right? The enslavement of blacks, the discrimination against women, the Holocaust against Jewish people, right? And I'm not trying to compare all these people to animals. I'm not trying to compare their suffering and what they all went through to animals, to what animals go through. But at the end of the day, we are still causing a bunch of harm and a bunch of just heinous acts of what I see as like evil and murder, right? And so it's like we can't excuse some behaviors and then not excuse others, right? Especially when they all have the same outcome. We wouldn't we wouldn't like eat on or feed on humans who are like not fully developed yet, mentally or physically, or they might not have the same mental capacities as your average human being. We wouldn't eat those people. We wouldn't kill those people because they have no use to contribute to us, right? We would take care of them. We would love for them. We would nourish them, right, till they were able to take care of themselves, or whatever the case may be. And we should be able to extend that type of compassion and love for one another to other creatures as well, who we share the world with, who we inhabit this earth with. The original commenter also responds, by the way, why care about pigs? Just enjoy food. And that's one thing too. A lot of people might they might understand everything. They might understand the health applications to being vegan, especially if you're going to go like a whole food plant-based vegan. They might understand the environmental aspects of like eating less animal products or having less animal products on your plate, and also the ethical stuff, right? They might understand it, they might get that, but they'll just it just tastes too good, man. My chicken tastes too good. My meat, my meat tastes too good. Pause, but whatever. This and that tastes so good. I just love cheese. Blah blah blah. And the thing is like you have to ask yourself, like, is your enjoyment, is your satisfaction of eating a certain way, of eating these animals or eating the products of these animals, is that worth more than their entire life, right? These animals take, it's going to take what, maybe 3 to 4 years or something for a cow to reach slaughter weight. It's going to take maybe I think it's like 18 months or something like that, maybe even less time for chickens to reach slaughter weight. And pigs, I don't know how long, but still they take some, of course, they're still going to take a couple years for them to get up to slaughter weight, right? And they didn't always grow like this. We genetically bred them in order to be able to grow a lot faster, right? And all those years, all those months of their life, does that have less value than your enjoyment for food, right? So that's just something that's just very interesting. If someone was like, I don't know, not serving you any purpose, or if somebody's failure or something like that, or if somebody's demise was at your benefit, would their entire life have less value than what you have to gain from their own demise or what they're going to go through, right? that's just something to think about, especially if this person is at your mercy, right? These animals, whether we realize it or not, are at our mercy, because again, we're paying for this, right? Whether we realize it or not, we're paying for them to be murdered. We're paying for them to go through so much more harm and cruelty. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? There's something called supply and demand. If you buy something, then there's going to be more of it, and it's going to be a lot more available. And then going back on the point to where they were talking about, like, this is how it's been, we've always been eating animals, blah, blah, blah. I mean, for one, early humans did what they needed to do to survive, right? And many animals do what they need to do to survive. That doesn't mean that that's something that, is okay today, right? We don't have to do that. It's been proven. There's people who have been vegan for decades, man, and they seem to be doing incredible. They're probably doing a lot better than the average person, and they're not running into any problems and stuff like that. And it's a sustainable diet. It's scientifically proven on all bases that meat does not have to be eaten, or any animal products don't have to be included in your diet at all, and it can be sustained for a long term, right? What's not really sustainable is like carnivore or keto, which is like, there's so many people who are like ex-carnivore or ex-keto or whatever, that ran into so many health problems. But you might see some ex-vegan videos out there, but there are more vegans than there are ex-vegans, and there are less carnivore people, than vegans, right? Because a diet like that is not sustainable. You'll see all these carnivore people come off that diet, and then, oh, I just had to add fruits into my diet, or I had to add, I'm starting to eat rice again, or my libido was low, or, my testosterone was falling, or I was getting heart palpitations, or I got a stroke, I got a heart attack. All these things like that. Oh, I was losing muscle gains, being tired, lethargic, all these things, right?
Chapter of the story was about 2 years into the carnivore diet. I started noticing persistence of unpleasant symptoms. So testosterone dropped to around 500, total sleep disturbances, palpitations, muscle cramps when I was surfing or climbing.
If meat was like the food for man, then why isn't man built in a way to eat meat so easily, right? If meat is like the best nutritional thing for man, then why do we have to go and make gear? Why do we have to come in groups and to chase this animal for hours and hours? Like, let's say back then we didn't have guns. We didn't have bows and arrows. We had freaking spears, bro, in our bare feet, right? Some people would die trying to hunt animals, right? Some people would fail trying to hunt an animal. And so it'd be more likely that we would rely on plant foods, right? And why would we rely on plant foods? Because they'd be a lot more readily available, right? If you look at a fruit tree, it's like, bro, it's right there, man. It's like right there. It'll fall to the ground sometimes. So it's something that's going to be a lot more easier, more convenient, right? And what any creature does, they're going to take the easiest route. So if this food is of whatever plant food that they're eating, whether they're rooting it up from the ground or taking it from the tree, they're going to be able to like enjoy that and probably be better adapted to that more so than an animal who's running away for its life, right? Who does not want to be eaten, who is kicking, who is yelling, maybe it's calling its other animals to come help to not be dead, right? So it just doesn't make any sense, logically anyways, to me, to eat any more animals. And it just doesn't make sense when it comes to a compassion standpoint and ethics and stuff like that. I just don't want to contribute to any more harm. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe if you're not a vegan, or maybe if you're considering it, maybe this video has brought some things to light. Maybe if it hasn't, whatever. Maybe you can go and do your own research and see what these, what happens, what goes through with these animals. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace out.